We all know that one girl. You know exactly the one I am talking about. She is breathtakingly beautiful, highly intelligent, has a fantastic career, and has an entire roster of men who would do absolutely anything just to take her out on a single date. She could have any man she wants. But instead of choosing the reliable, successful guy who treats her like an absolute queen, she is completely, helplessly obsessed with a man who treats her like she barely even exists. He leaves her on red for days at a time. He cancels plans at the extremely last minute with barely an apology. He gives her the absolute bare minimum of his time, his energy, and his emotional bandwidth. And when she breaks down and cries to her friends about how much he hurts her, how much anxiety he causes her, every single person in her life tells her the exact same thing. Leave him, you deserve so much better. But she doesn't leave, she stays. She waits for his text like a starving person waiting for a crumb of bread. Meanwhile, the genuinely nice guy, the guy who texts her good morning every day, who remembers all her favourite things, who makes his entire life about making her happy, is sitting completely invisible in the friend zone, wondering what on earth he is doing wrong. Why does this happen? Is she fundamentally broken? Is she crazy? Does she secretly hate herself and want to be miserable? The answer is no. She is functioning exactly how human psychology and ancient female biology are designed to function. What you are witnessing is not a logical choice made by a rational brain. It is a profound chemical addiction, and today I am going to explain the dark, deeply uncomfortable, and often ignored truth about why women get biologically addicted to men who treat them like they are nothing. More importantly, I am going to give you the exact blueprint on how to use this same psychology to become completely irresistible, without having to actually become a toxic, manipulative, or abusive person. If you want to finally understand the deepest, most hidden secrets of female nature and completely transform your dating life, turn off your distractions, put your phone on silent, pay very close attention to every word I am about to say, and let's dive into the psychology of the dark side of attraction. To truly understand this phenomenon, we first have to completely sever the tie between logic and emotion. When you ask a woman what she wants in a man, her logical brain is the one answering you. She will look you dead in the eye and say she wants a man who is kind, loyal, communicative, emotionally available, vulnerable, and completely devoted to her. And here is the thing, she is not lying to you. She logically believes that is exactly what she wants. She wants the safety and security of a good man. But sexual desire, raw physical attraction, and deep emotional addiction do not live in the logical, rational prefrontal cortex of the brain. They live deep in the primitive, primal part of the brain called the amygdala. This ancient part of the human brain does not respond to safety, predictability, and logic. It responds to tension, danger, unpredictability, and displays of raw power. When a man is completely available, completely predictable, and entirely safe, her logical brain says, wow, he is such a great guy. I should really like him. But her primal brain, the part that actually generates sexual arousal, flatlines. It feels absolutely nothing. There is no tension to overcome. There is no challenge to conquer. There is no mystery to solve. Now introduce the man who treats her like an option. The guy who runs hot and cold. One day he gives her the most amazing, passionate, intense attention she has ever experienced, making her feel like the only woman in the world. And the very next day, he is entirely emotionally unavailable, distant, and unresponsive. What does this erratic behavior do to her brain? It triggers one of the most powerful psychological mechanisms ever discovered: intermittent reinforcement. This is the exact same psychological mechanism that makes gambling and slot machines so incredibly addictive. Back in the 1950s, a brilliant behavioral psychologist named B.F. Skinner conducted a famous experiment with rats. He placed a rat in a box with a lever. In the first phase of the experiment, every time the rat pressed the lever, it received a food pellet. The rat quickly learned the system. It would press the lever when it was hungry, eat the food, and then completely ignore the lever for the rest of the day. The reward was predictable, safe, and consistent, so the rat did not obsess over it. But then Skinner changed the rules of the game. He made the reward unpredictable. Sometimes the rat pressed the lever and got a food pellet. Sometimes it got absolutely nothing. Sometimes it had to press the lever 10 times to get 1 pellet. And sometimes it got a massive jackpot of food on the very first try. Do you know what happened to the rat? It went completely insane. It started pressing the lever obsessively, non-stop, furiously. It ignored sleep, it ignored grooming, it ignored everything else in its environment, just trying to get that unpredictable hit of dopamine. This is exactly, perfectly parallel to what happens in a woman's brain when she deals with a man who does not validate her consistently. The nice, predictable guy is the first lever. She knows exactly what he will say. She knows exactly how much he likes her. She knows that if she texts him, he will reply in exactly 3 minutes with a smiley face. Because it is so predictable, her brain easily adapts, gets instantly bored, and she completely stops thinking about him. He is a sure thing. His validation has 0 scarcity, and therefore 0 value. But the man who treats her like she is nothing. He is the unpredictable slot machine. When he ignores her, her dopamine levels crash. She feels anxious, insecure, and desperate. But when he finally, randomly gives her a tiny breadcrumb of positive attention, a late-night text, a brief compliment, a moment of intense eye contact, her brain gets a massive, overwhelming spike of dopamine. Because she had to wait for it, because she wasn't sure she was going to get it, the chemical high is multiplied 100 times over. She becomes literally, chemically addicted to the emotional roller coaster. She is constantly wondering, why is he pulling away? What did I do wrong this time? If I change my hair, will he notice? Will he text me today? This constant, agonizing mental real estate is the exact breeding ground for deep obsession. She starts confusing this intense anxiety, this chemical chaos, for deep, passionate, soulmate-level love. This brings us to the second massive psychological principle at play, the misattribution of arousal. In human psychology, there is a very famous, well-documented phenomenon where the human brain fundamentally confuses fear, stress, and anxiety with sexual arousal and romantic attraction. When a woman is dealing with a guy who treats her poorly, her nervous system is locked in a constant state of fight or flight. Her cortisol levels, the stress hormone, are constantly spiking. Her heart races when she thinks about him. Her palms sweat when she waits for his reply. She feels a literal, physical knot in her stomach when she sees his name pop up on her phone screen. Her brain registers this intense physical reaction, but it incorrectly labels it. She thinks to herself, "My heart is beating so fast around him. I can't stop thinking about him. I literally feel sick to my stomach when he's not around. This must be true love. We must have an insane, undeniable cosmic connection." She fundamentally confuses the physiological feeling of a panic attack with the feeling of romantic butterflies in her stomach. The nice guy, on the other hand, who is steady, calm, communicative, and transparent, completely regulates her nervous system. He brings her peace. He makes her feel safe. But in the realm of raw attraction, safety is the exact opposite of excitement. Because the nice guy doesn't give her those crazy, adrenaline-fueled highs and terrifying, agonizing lows, her brain naturally concludes that there is no spark with him. She will tell you, "You're a great guy, but I just don't feel a connection." The reality is, the connection and chemistry she feels with the toxic guy is nothing more than a chemical cocktail of stress hormones, adrenaline, and trauma bonding. Let's dive deeper into the concept of the trauma bond, because this is where the addiction becomes nearly impossible to break. A trauma bond happens when a person is subjected to a cycle of emotional abuse, neglect, or extreme indifference, which is then followed by brief periods of intense affection, intimacy, and reconciliation. When the toxic guy ignores her for 3 days, it creates immense psychological pain and self-doubt. Her self-esteem plummets. She feels utterly worthless and rejected. But then, out of nowhere, he calls her at midnight. He tells her he missed her. He takes her on a spontaneous drive, and he acts like nothing bad ever happened. The sheer, overwhelming relief she feels in that exact moment is euphoric. It is a high that cannot be replicated by normal, healthy dating. The pain he caused her acts as a sharp contrast that makes his tiny bit of affection feel like the greatest drug on earth. Think of it like someone holding your head underwater until your lungs are burning and you are drowning. and then suddenly pulling you up for air. You will gasp for that breath, and you will look at the person who let you breathe as your absolute savior. You will completely forget that they were the exact same person holding you underwater in the first place. Women get addicted to the intense relief of the pain, and they deeply associate that relief with the man who is actually causing the pain. But there is another massive critical factor at play here, and it relates directly back to evolutionary biology, social dynamics, and sexual market value. We have established that women are inherently hypergamous. This means they are biologically wired to seek, attract, and submit to men who are of higher status, higher competence, and higher overall value than they are. In the modern world, how do humans subconsciously gauge a person's status? We do it through behavioral cues. If a man is desperately chasing a woman, if he is double texting her, if he is sacrificing his dignity, abandoning his friends, and making himself constantly available to her every whim, he is subconsciously signaling that he is of vastly lower status. He is behaving exactly like a starving peasant, begging a queen for a mere scrap of her favour. His behaviour communicates that she is the best he can do, and he is terrified of losing her. But what does it signal when a man truly, genuinely does not seem to care? What does it say when he isn't overly impressed by her beauty? When he is perfectly willing to walk away from her, ignore her bad behaviour, and prioritise his own life, his own purpose, and his own goals above her? To her subconscious mind, this cold, detached behaviour screams extremely high value. Her ancient evolutionary brain rapidly calculates. Wait a minute. If this man is willing to treat me, a beautiful woman that every other man caters to like an afterthought, he must have vastly superior options. He must have access to even more beautiful women. He must be an incredibly high-status, powerful male. Even if this guy is just a broke loser, working a dead-end job and living in his mother's basement, his specific behaviour of non-neediness and emotional control completely hacks her evolutionary software. He bypasses her logical filters and triggers her raw attraction triggers. And this is exactly where her ego gets involved. Do not ever underestimate the sheer, driving power of a beautiful woman's ego. Highly attractive women, in particular, live in a completely different reality than the rest of us. They experience something called beauty privilege. From the time they hit puberty, they are entirely used to men falling all over themselves just to get a smile, a text back, or a moment of their time. They are deeply accustomed to being the centre of attention, the ultimate prize in every room they walk into. When a man comes along and completely shatters that comfortable reality by treating her like she is entirely ordinary, it creates a massive, jarring cognitive dissonance in her mind. Her ego simply cannot handle it. It short-circuits her brain. She starts thinking, wait, why doesn't he worship me like every other guy? What is wrong with me? Am I losing my touch? Am I not pretty enough? Am I not smart enough for him? Suddenly, without her even realizing it, her entire life's mission becomes proving her worth to this one specific man. She doesn't even necessarily like him for his personality. She is just desperately trying to conquer him to fix her own shattered ego. She deeply desires the unparalleled validation of taming the untamable beast. She thinks, if I can get this cold, heartless, high-value man to finally break down, fall deeply in love with me, and commit his life to me, it will be the ultimate proof that I am incredibly special and superior to all other women. It becomes a thrilling challenge, a high-stakes game. And let me tell you a secret. Women absolutely love to play the game, even if they loudly complain that they hate it. This is exactly why, when you sit down and try to logically explain to a female friend that the guy she is crying over is a complete loser, that he treats her terribly, and that she deserves so much better, your words go in one ear and right out the other. You cannot fight an emotional, chemical addiction with logic. You cannot reason with a biological dopamine craving. You cannot convince a slot machine addict to stop pulling the lever by showing them a rational spreadsheet of their financial losses. They don't care about the logic. They just want the hit. So, where does this uncomfortable reality leave you as a man who wants to succeed in dating? Does this mean you have to completely abandon your morals, become a clinical narcissist, treat women like absolute garbage, cheat on them, and systematically destroy their mental health just to get them to passionately desire you? Absolutely not. That is the darkest trap that many bitter, resentful men fall into when they discover these truths. They go from being the overly accommodating nice guy to being a genuinely toxic, abusive villain. And while that might get them some short-term success, it ultimately leads to an empty, miserable, paranoid life devoid of any real trust or partnership. The real secret, the true elevated masculine hack, is not to blindly copy the toxic, destructive traits of the bad boy, but to extract the underlying psychological principles of his behavior and apply them with absolute honor, integrity, and self-respect. You see, the toxic bad boy treats a woman like she is nothing, because he genuinely has deep psychological issues. He lacks empathy, and he is often running from his own insecurities. The high-value, grounded, self-respecting man does not treat a woman like she is nothing. Instead, he simply treats his own life, his own masculine purpose, his own time, and his own boundaries as everything. There is a massive difference between maliciously ignoring a woman to play mind games and genuinely not having time to text her back immediately because you are 3 hours deep into a business project, or crushing a brutal workout at the gym, or fully present in a conversation with your mentors. Both behaviors create the exact same psychological unpredictability and space that builds attraction. But one is rooted in manipulation, and the other is rooted in high-value reality. Let me break down the exact actionable blueprint on how you apply this in your own life starting today. Step number 1. You must cultivate an unshakable purpose that supersedes any woman. You must become genuinely unavailable at times. Not as a fake, manipulative game where you sit staring at your phone, setting a timer for 2 hours before you reply to her text. You must become unavailable because you are actually busy building an empire, developing your physique, learning new skills, or spending quality time with your brothers. When you have a massive mission in life that is fundamentally more important to you than chasing women, you naturally, effortlessly create that space and unpredictability that drives women crazy. You become the intermittent reward simply by living an incredible, focused life. When she gets your attention, she knows it is valuable because she knows how scarce your free time is. Step number 2. You must completely stop giving unearned validation. This is where the nice guys fail miserably. Stop telling her she is a goddess just for showing up to a date. Stop showering her with compliments about her physical appearance. She already knows she is pretty, and 1,000 other desperate guys in her Instagram DMs have already told her that today. Stop giving her the full boyfriend experience, the emotional support, the financial investment, the deep loyalty, before she has actually earned the girlfriend title through her consistent good behavior. Keep your compliments scarce and conditional, so that when you finally do look her in the eyes and tell her she is beautiful, or that you respect her mind, it hits her nervous system like a shockwave. It carries weight because she knows you actually mean it, and she knows she had to earn it. Step number 3. You must master frame control and emotional stoicism. Women will constantly test you to see how much power they have over your emotions. They will pull away, they will act moody, they will cancel plans, or they will make slightly disrespectful comments just to see if you crack. The toxic guy reacts with anger and abuse. The nice guy reacts with panic, apologies and desperation. The high-value man reacts with absolute, unshakable emotional indifference. If she gives you attitude, you don't argue with her. You don't try to logically fix her mood. You simply smirk, withdraw your attention, and go do something else. You show her that her bad behavior does not move you off your center. You are the oak tree in the storm. When she realizes that her emotional chaos cannot control you, her respect for you will skyrocket, and attraction always follows respect. Step number 4. You must possess the ultimate superpower in the modern dating market, the absolute, unflinching willingness to walk away. The core reason the toxic man who treats her poorly holds so much power over her is simply because she knows, deep down in her bones, that he is not afraid to lose her. You must cultivate that exact same fearless energy. If she disrespects your core boundaries, if she plays stupid manipulative games, if she tries to make you jealous, or if she continually brings drama into your peaceful life, you don't fight. You don't negotiate. You simply pack up your attention, pull back your energy, and walk away forever. When a woman senses that you are truly deeply okay with losing her, that your life will be absolutely phenomenal, whether she is in it or not, she will do everything in her earthly power to keep you. Neediness repels. Non-neediness is the strongest magnet in the universe. Women do not respect men they can easily control. They do not desire men they can easily predict. They want a mountain they have to climb, not a red carpet rolled out under their feet. They want to feel the slight, thrilling anxiety of, "Is he going to call me?" mixed with the deep, comforting respect of, "I know he is a strong man of his word." They want a man who is capable of loving them fiercely, but who absolutely does not need them to survive or feel complete. The men who are losing miserably in the dating market today are the ones who make women the center of their universe. They abandon their hobbies, their friends, and their dignity, just to keep a woman happy. The men who are winning, the men who women become obsessively, hopelessly addicted to, are the ones who make themselves the center of their own universe, and simply invite women to orbit their gravity. You do not need to treat a woman like she is nothing. You just need to finally wake up and realize that you are the prize. Your time, your attention, your commitment, and your masculine energy are the most valuable assets you possess. Stop giving them away for free to women who haven't earned them. Once you truly internalize this mindset, your entire demeanor changes. You walk differently, you speak differently, you stop chasing, you stop pleasing, you stand firm and unapologetic in your masculine frame. And when you finally do that, she won't just like you. She won't just think you're a nice guy. She will become completely, biologically addicted to the strength of your reality. If this video opened your eyes to the uncomfortable but necessary truths of human nature and female psychology, make sure to hit the like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a brother who desperately needs to hear this message. Stop being the nice guy who gets left behind in the dust, and start being the high-value man she simply cannot stop thinking about. Stay strong, hold your frame, and I will see you